Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Wednesday evening to you all. I hope you guys are doing well out there tonight. Certainly had yourselves a great day, and I hope you all are having a fantastic week out there so far. I know my week's been pretty good. It's probably been one of my better weeks I've had in quite some time. I don't know, it's just been a good week. So hoping you guys have had a great week also. Thank y'all for tuning in this evening. We got a lot to discuss in this video. We're going to talk about what's going on right now as far as winter weather, talk about what potentially could happen in the next several days as far as winter weather. And when I say winter weather, I'm not just talking about like snow, sleet, or freezing rain. I'm talking about the cold air also. All this video is going to be about is winter weather. So if you're not interested in that, this video is probably not for you. But I would stay tuned regardless, because there's a chance that that kind of weather could affect your neck of the woods here in the next several days. I am expecting this air mass to make it all the way to the eastern seaboard. We're going to talk about that in this video. Speak on another area, basically another winter storm that's going to take over kind of the same areas that's already been seeing it. And then we're going to talk about the chance for some winter weather kind of further south into kind of the central plains, high plains. Great Lakes snow is likely sometime next week. We'll speak on that. Like I said, we'll talk about the progression of this cold air eastward, and then we'll even speak on the potential. It's a potential now of some kind of northeast big time low pressure that could get going sometime late next week. Now, we're not going to talk in details with that, but some models are hinting at the idea of some kind of big low pressure about a week and a half from today. And we know that's a long ways from now. We know many things can change, but we'll speak on many things in this video, talk about how cold you could potentially get, all kinds of stuff. If you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. I've noticed an uptick in the views of the videos, so welcome to any new viewers. Try to make at least one video every single day, sometimes two videos, especially when things get active like it's kind of doing right now. So welcome to any new viewers. Let me know where you're at. It's nice to hear people are tuning in from Montana to Dakotas. It's always great. Let me know where you're at, where you live. You don't have to tell me your address, but maybe the town you live in. And I always will jump on Google Maps and see where these towns are. Somebody told me they were from a town in Montana I never even heard of, and it was really cool just kind of checking out where that area is. But anyways, if you folks got anything that I can pray about, I'll pray over as always. Please put it in the comments below so I can pray over it and so others can do so too. Let's get rolling. So what's going on right now? We still got a lot of moisture funneling into the western U.S., Pacific Northwest. And of course, the cold air is moving down. So this is falling in the form of snow in areas of Montana. This is kind of let up in kind of northern Montana where you guys, depending on your location, your elevation, things like that, have already picked up several inches of snow. This first wave of precipitation falling in the form of snow in northern North Dakota, like Minot. I think that's how y'all say it, Minot, or I think it's Minot, North Dakota. It's snowing pretty good right now. It's snowing into areas of Canada, and there's a little bit of a break in between. Now, I'm expecting this area to get fully more developed here in the next several hours to the next 12 to 24 hours, where a full-on winter storm will redevelop in these regions. And then areas further south, like in South Dakota and further south into North Dakota, southern sections of North Dakota, we'll see more in the form of winter weather. But yeah, guys, I mean, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of rain falling across areas of central Oklahoma, areas of Texas. Got a streamer of rain into the southern Great Lakes region, a little bit of light shower activity into the northeast. But we're expecting more moisture to really get amplified into this region, and we're going to have a solid shield of snow. We're going to talk about all that in this video. Let's talk about watches and warnings right now, flood watches in southern areas of Oklahoma, the heart of Texas. We're not going to speak much on the rain in this video. It's mainly going to be about winter weather. But for you folks in Texas, you are going to be included in this too, because man, you guys have had a miserable summer. We all know that. There's been periods in the fall where you've gotten a break from the heat, but it's been miserable over the last several days. I think some folks in Texas didn't even get below 70 degrees for a low temperature. That's ridiculous for late October, but here we are. Pink areas, winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories in the purple area. I don't see any winter storm watches up anymore, but we could see some of these winter storm warnings get extended down into South Dakota and a little bit further down into Wyoming. Now we watch, as of right now, we don't see anything because confidence isn't there. We're still a few days out, several days out. But I would watch for some winter weather advisories, maybe even some winter storm watches to begin to pop up. Maybe somewhere in Nebraska, maybe into Colorado. That's something we need to watch and see how it evolves. There's a lot to cover in this video, guys, really is. So let's talk about the Rockies first. Let's talk about what's going on right now. Then we'll shift to the northern plains. We'll the north central U.S. cover more of the Dakotas and Minnesota. So right now we got a little break. HRR model's picking up on it pretty well. Got snow falling in northern sections of North Dakota. Let me know how much snow you've seen out there, and also let me know. It looks like it's snowing in and around, or maybe just south of the Billings, Montana area. Snow is starting to really pick up in the Yellowstone National Park area. Snowing in Idaho, where the snow levels have actually dropped in elevation, probably just to I don't know. I'm guessing here, maybe a few thousand feet, maybe up to 5,000 feet. Let me know what the snow levels are at out here in Idaho. It all depends on where you are. Snow is going to begin to take over these higher elevations of northeastern areas of Utah. And just as the jet basically continues to sag south, precipitation in general will sag south, and it will begin raining in Salt Lake City overnight. Some of these higher elevations north and really northeast of Salt Lake City will begin to experience some snow. And we continue to wake up tomorrow morning. We got snow retaking over the southern half of Montana. So, I'm going to struggle mentioning towns and cities. That's something I always try to do different in this video. But Miles City, Billings, I expect if you get any breaks in the snow, kind of Bozeman area, this snow will re-pick up. I'm not expecting extremely heavy snow, but it could be heavy at times. So as we're waking up tomorrow morning, snow makes it all the way up into northern Montana again. Okay, I don't think it's going to be super heavy, but you're going to get additional accumulations. You gotta remember, guys, the Arctic air mass is fully settled into Montana. It's going to be a very powdery snow. Snow is going to be falling at very low temperatures. So you keep going until about midday tomorrow. You got an area of snow taking over Wyoming, still snowing back, a little bit of snow out in kind of northern sections of Idaho. It's snowing in pretty much all of central and eastern Montana. We'll talk about the Dakotas here in a second, not leaving you guys out deliberately, but we got a separate tab for you folks. And some of this snow right here in kind of southern Wyoming, looks like it could be quite heavy. Rock Springs, kind of around that Interstate 80 corridor over the Rawlins. Snow could be quite heavy tomorrow afternoon to tomorrow evening. Okay, and then you start to see more snow into the Dakotas, and then the snow finally heads on out, I think, sometime late tomorrow evening in Montana, and you're just left with some lingering snow. And I think finally, besides just some lingering snow showers and kind of snow squally weather in Idaho, western Montana, you finally just calm down as far as winter precipitation. Now, the cold air is there. It's going to be there throughout the weekend and probably early next week, but things settle down as far as what's falling from the sky. Now, between now and Friday afternoon, we'll take it all the way to Friday afternoon. Additional snowfall is expected in the higher elevations of Idaho. Snow over here in northern sections of Utah, several inches of snow. Somebody in those higher peaks can get over a foot. And then Yellowstone National Park, northwest Wyoming, well over a foot. Depending on elevation, the higher up you get, the more snow you get. And even in these just kind of more lower elevations of Montana, Montana's elevated in general, but an additional few inches of snow even outside the higher elevations. But of course, the higher up you get, okay, the higher up you get, the more snow you see. But in general, with Montana locked into this cold air mass now, pretty much anywhere where precipitation is falling in Montana is probably going to fall in the form of snow. Okay, it just depends on how hard the precipitation is, things like that. Bighorn Mountain's going to continue to get crushed here in northern sections of Wyoming, where those higher elevations are. Now let's talk about the Dakotas, and we'll speak on northern Minnesota in this too. Dealing with snow this evening, this will continue. These northern counties could switch to some heavy wet snow. Far extreme northern country, International Falls might switch from rain to snow overnight tonight, but I really think that boundary is really kind of right there. You might stay rain in International Falls, more than likely you will. But as we're getting into the middle of the night, some additional heavier snow begins to move in. Okay, starts to kind of ride in from Interstate, 94? And it looks like Bismarck, for example, is still... first off, doesn't have a lot of precipitation right now, but it looks like the coldest air is still north, but it looks like it's about to switch to snow for you guys overnight in Bismarck. But Minot, North Dakota, still getting crushed with heavy snow. I think the heaviest might overnight stay to your south. But as we're getting into tomorrow morning, here comes the snow based off the HRR model, taking over most of the state. starting to snow in the far northwest corner of South Dakota, and then it's snowing pretty heavily in the far northwest corner of Minnesota. Very heavy, I might add. And, it's just taking a while for this Arctic air to really sag south, so you might deal with a little bit of freezing rain, a little bit of sleet, kind of right where the mixing line is. You could. But you continue to get into tomorrow afternoon, and man, it is snowing like crazy in these extreme northern counties of Minnesota. I don't pretend to know the name of these counties up here, but if you live, let's see if we got a name of a town or a community. Was that Rosu, Warroad? Guys, I'm trying here. These are some small towns. What is that? Karstad, Lake Bronson, Lancaster. I don't know if y'all pronounce it Lancaster or Lancaster. Down here in the south, we pronounce it Lancaster. But a lot of snow up here in these counties. And then look at this. As we're getting into tomorrow evening, snow begins to fall in the entire western half of South Dakota. And you're starting to get some snow showing up down here in western Nebraska also. Snow is finally falling in Bismarck, North Dakota. And this continues, and it starts to end west to east throughout the Dakotas. But man, I would watch. Let's make sure we got a winter storm warning up for these areas. I'm very surprised there's not a winter storm warning up for some counties in northwest Minnesota. I'm very, very surprised. But if you look at how much snow is expected between now and the next, basically between now and Friday night, an additional another several inches of snow is possible across North Dakota. 3 to 5 inches of snow is possible across northwest areas of South Dakota. Just going for a few inches of snow here in northwest Minnesota, but I could see this increase, guys. If you look at the HRRR model as far as how much snow they're going for, they're going for more to like 6 to 10 inches of snow up here. So I'd watch for this. I really would. See if this increases in the later outlooks. So what we're going to do now is we're going to switch gears to the central U.S. So I'm thinking, as we move past this first system, here it is. This is the system we just broke down for the Dakotas. This moves on out. We get a little bit of a break as we're getting into Friday afternoon to start our weekend and to getting into Saturday morning. And here it is. This is Saturday morning, this coming Saturday morning, October the 28th. Look at the snow based off the GFS breaking out over northern Nebraska. Okay, where is this area of winter weather going to set up? At this point, the Arctic air mass has sagged further south, so basically winter weather can fall further south. So, you start to get into areas of like around Alliance, things like places like that, maybe even Scottsbluff. You're cold enough for anything that gets going to fall snow. So snow begins to develop over most of Nebraska, I might add, except, I would say even Omaha. We stop it here, right? This is Saturday evening. Snow's falling in Denver all the way through, North Platte, all the way to Grand Island, all the way to Omaha. You got a wintry mix falling in Lincoln based off the GFS. It's only 78 hours out, guys. And, there's no winter storm watch up. And I don't blame them because their confidence is still everywhere. But you stop it right here. Not only Nebraska, guys, areas of Colorado seeing snow, Denver. You're getting winter weather into Kansas, guys, all the way down to the Interstate 70 corridor in Kansas. You're getting a wintry mix. The orange based off this is sleet. Pink is freezing rain. Arctic air is very shallow, so it could be in a case where a lot of warm air aloft, but a lot of cold air at the surface. It supports wintry weather below 32 degrees. So, you stop it here Friday afternoon, Friday evening, you got a full-on wintry mix ongoing in Kansas. You keep going. Okay, you stop it here. We'll stop it right here. This is around 3-4 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning, still snowing in areas of Nebraska. Okay, snowing in Colorado, wintry mix as far south based off the GFS. Not a forecast, guys. I see in the comments a lot like, oh, that's crazy. It's gonna, be a wintry mix all the way down to Texas this time of the year. And I see people comment stuff like that, and it sounds so conclusive, like they pretty much have wrote it down in a notebook that it's going to happen, guys. This is what I do. I compare and contrast model guidance until we have a legit forecast from the National Weather Service, and then I throw my ideas into it. But this is what we do. We kind of compare and contrast. That's what my videos go on for an entire light year, is because I compare and contrast model guidance, and it takes so long to work through them. But I do this for you guys as the audience to understand the differences between models. So we keep going here. We got freezing rain falling in the panhandle of Oklahoma and Texas, guys. I mean, is this going to happen? I think it's very possible. In fact, with Arctic air masses, typically it always trends more towards the wintry scenario. In all my years of watching winter weather with Arctic air masses, it always trends more to the wintry scenario. I mean, you got to think, guys, Arctic air mass boundary setting up here. Along this boundary is the jet. Moisture is going to continue to do what we call an overrunning. It overruns over that shallow cold air. So we're getting into Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. Wintry mix, guys, all the way down into Salina, Topeka, Wichita, Kansas. We got a little bit of winter weather creeping all the way down. What is that? Down into Woodward, Oklahoma. Pretty wild, guys. Okay, and then we get into Sunday evening. It looks like just rain, but you still all the way down into western and northern Texas. Not talking about Dallas necessarily, even though I think you guys can get a cold rain Sunday into Monday. But I mean, down here, I mean, dare I say like Abilene, I mean, Lubbock, Midland, Odessa, shallow cold air still down here. Got a wintry mix all the way deep into Texas on October the 30th. Which is something we need to watch, guys. It really is. Is it a concern? No, but I think it's fascinating to watch. It really is. But, you know, we move past that, and then we're pretty much done. All the Arctic air is starting to shift. And, yeah. So you look at the Euro, a little bit more conservative, but it's still there. Okay, here it is. Bang, a little bit warmer. Saturday afternoon. There it is. You got another wave of precipitation riding into this cold air. I mean, this is snow falling at pretty cold temperatures in Nebraska, areas of South Dakota. You got snow getting all the way into, I mean, it's getting all the way, and band of snow making all the way to the Minneapolis area for Saturday afternoon. Are we going to have some snow games to watch on TV for football? It's possible. Snow falling, getting really close to the Des Moines area. Rain-snow mix. Snowing for just about everybody in Nebraska Saturday afternoon, except maybe Lincoln Point South and Southeast. You keep this going, and precipitation keeps developing. And look at this light freezing rain. Cold air at the surface, light freezing rain developing. And if this ends up happening, this is when we will really start to nerd out with you guys as far as soundings, temperatures in the upper levels of the atmosphere, and why we get freezing rain, why we get sleet, and why we get snow. A lot of people wonder, well, why is it raining below and it's 30 degrees outside? Why is it raining when it's 25 degrees outside? This makes no sense. It should be snowing. I will explain to you exactly why it does that here in the coming days. And if you guys don't know, I think it'll blow your mind, and it'll give you a new perspective when trying to understand winter weather. It really will. I'm excited to talk about it, and I will here in the coming days. Just stick with me. I got you covered. But, you know, we're getting into Sunday morning. Freezing rain falling in the eastern half of Kansas. Light snow falling in Nebraska. Snow falling in areas of Colorado. You got snow over in the central and western areas of Iowa. And you continue to go, and, you know, not a whole lot going on. And then, you know, it shows, look at this area of pink all the way in southwest areas of Texas. I would argue if you push this precipitation about 100 miles north in Texas and Oklahoma, it would be pink. Pink would be showing up on your map. Okay? I'm telling you now, it's not a forecast, but you know, guys, I don't just like to jump on here and show you models. I'll give you my take on things too. But with Arctic air masses, a lot of times things are more wintry than what the models show. Okay? A lot of shallow moisture that models don't pick up on. A lot of things, guys. A lot of things go into this. And then we need to talk about this that kind of comes in behind it, because models are definitely disagreeing with this feature right here, this huge upper trough of energy. So as far as winter weather, GFS is only going to show 10-to-1 ratio. But, I mean, it wants to dump several inches of snow over Nebraska, several inches of snow over Denver, several inches of snow over just northeast Colorado. And a little bit of snow over Iowa, a trace, a dusting of snow all the way into southern areas of Wisconsin. Now, the snow you see over the Great Lakes region, we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay? Now, you look at the European model, right? Okay? A little bit less, but it still shows winter weather. Snowfall over Nebraska, central and western Nebraska more so, and accumulating snow over Denver. A little bit of a stripe of snow for areas of southern Nebraska into areas of Iowa. It throws a little bit more snow than compared to the GFS for southern sections of Minnesota. Even throws an inch and a half of snow into Wisconsin between now and Monday morning. But another thing I want to watch is this freezing rain. Okay, it shows and this is the blend of all models, shows a signal for a glaze of freezing rain. I know it's just a few hundredths of an inch, but this could trend more if confidence increases. All right, so we need to watch this ice signal too. Nobody wants freezing rain, right? So let's talk about temperatures for the central U.S. First off, I want to show you this. These are real-time temperatures right now. Look at this pocket of temperatures in the low to mid 70s, all right, in southeast Wyoming. All right, so I'm going to try to name some towns in eastern Wyoming, okay? So Cheyenne, right now, it's in the 60s, right? You go up to, what is that, Wheatland? What is that, Lusk, Wyoming, small town in eastern Wyoming. I mean, it's in the upper 60s, low 70s right now. You go up to Newcastle, it's probably in the 40s, 50s. All right, you go up to Sundance, what is that, Gillette, Wyoming, it's in the 20s. So, I mean, what, hour and a half drive, 2 hour drive? You go from the 70s to the 20s. It's unbelievable. That's just your Arctic air mass. It happens a couple times a year, guys, where you just get this extremely tight gradient air mass. And here it is. And to give you an idea of how shallow the cold air is, guys, this is the Bighorn Mountains right here. You notice if you look at this little color gradient right here, the temperatures are warmer in the mountains than it is in these lower elevations surrounding. You ask Mitch, why is that? Cold air is shallow. It hangs out towards the surface a lot more before it fully takes over all levels of the atmosphere. So it's crazy. We'll talk about that. I'll geek out on you guys here in the coming days. I got you covered. But these are real-time temperatures right now. I want to show you the evolution of this cold air over the next few days, and here it comes. We're getting into Thursday morning. Here it is, cold, low, chilly temperatures up in the northern plains. You're hanging on to these extremely warm temperatures as far as low temperatures for dear life here in the Midwest, Mississippi Valley, South Central U.S. And then we look at high temperatures tomorrow, warming all the way into the 80s, into areas of Nebraska. You keep going into, Friday morning low temperatures. You're locking into the freezer. So you got like 17 degrees, 11 degrees as a low temperature, and these areas are in the 70s right now for Friday morning, okay? It doesn't take a rocket scientist, right, to see where this cold front is, okay? So this is Friday morning, getting to Friday afternoon for high temperatures. Same areas that were in the 80s in areas of Kansas. Thursday afternoon are only in the 50s and 40s for Friday afternoon, okay? This continues. Get maybe one last warm couple of days here in Dallas, and here comes this front. Sunday morning, low temperatures, and then we get into Monday morning. And if you have not had a freeze yet in like Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, even Wisconsin, Oklahoma, you're going to get your first freeze, and it could be a hard one too. And a hard freeze is considered 28 degrees or lower, but yeah, guys, I mean, this is Monday morning, last Monday of October, freeze upcoming, and we continue to go forward here. We go into Tuesday morning, still extremely cold, single digits up in the northern plains, 40s all the way to the Gulf Coast, 30s into Texas, and yeah, I mean, here it comes, guys. So let's talk about, let me get a little comfortable and we'll round this video up here. Let's talk about the rest of the East. I want to show you this is the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, takes us through October 31st through November 4th. So people have been wondering, is this cold going to make it to the eastern U.S.? It is. Confidence has done nothing but increase. If you look at this dark blue area, that's some pretty high confidence that we're going to have below average temperatures take over, certainly the south central U.S. and the eastern U.S. So I want to show you this. This is from the experts, National Weather Service Climate Prediction Center. So we'll take a look at temperature anomalies, and then we'll take a look at how cold it could potentially get. So these are high temperatures, Friday. Anywhere from 10 to 20, 22 degrees above average. Here comes that cold air boundary, right? Getting into Sunday morning, okay? We can actually flip this to the 18Z now, okay? Sunday morning, I mean, it is, here it is. Just take it to Sunday afternoon. Look at these temperatures in the Carolinas and Virginia. Anywhere from 15 to 20 degrees above average, okay? But look at the colder temperatures. Look at the gradient. I mean, going from well above average to well below average, okay? Start to get into Monday, afternoon. If you live in the Carolinas, enjoy it. If you like warm weather, enjoy this last warm day because here it comes. Then we get into Halloween. I can tell you, Halloween's going to be a tough forecast for anybody in the Carolinas. Tough because it looks like the cold front's going to move in right somewhere during the last day of October. Okay, but then you look into October 31st, and then that is when the below average temperatures pretty much take over. So if you're like me and you put your Christmas tree up like the first weekend of November, sometimes I don't even wait till the weekend. I'll just put it up like a day or two after October 31st. It is the season. Do it. Of course, you always want to do it when it's chilly outside. It puts you more in the mood. But here it comes. To start off November, chilly temperatures for sure. For some people, trick-or-treating, doing stuff at the church or trunk or treat, whatever you do, fall festival, it's going to be a downright chilly Tuesday evening. It really is. It's going to be cold. Some people, it's going to be well below freezing. But if you're wondering if this is coming up to the eastern U.S., here's your answer here. And colder than average temperatures are going to definitely dominate at least the very first few to several days of November. As far as how cold these temperatures are, and a great way to look at this is high temperatures. Friday, very warm, 80s. Saturday, well into the 80s. It's going to be a very warm day. If you're going to see a football game, whatever you may be doing, enjoy the warm air. If you're a big warm air fan, enjoy it because only a couple days left. You get into Sunday, right? Still nice. Monday, look at this boundary. These are high temperatures. For example, 52 degrees for a high in Nashville based off the blend of all models, 70 degrees for a high in Chattanooga. It's an 18-degree difference in a pretty short amount of space. You keep going, and you go from 85 degrees in Columbia, for example, to 67 degrees the 31st, and then the 59 degrees on the 1st, okay? So, if you're wondering about hey, Mitch, how cold is the temperature going to get? Well, here it comes. The 30th, locking into the freezer here. 31st, getting well into the 30s all the way down to northern Alabama, northern Mississippi, well below freezing for most of Arkansas. And then we get into the morning of November 1st, deep into the 20s. If you have not had a freeze yet, here it comes. A freeze might greet you right at the beginning of November. And then we get in the morning of November 2nd, and 30s, maybe all the way to the Gulf Coast line. And there's the cold air. Here it comes. Last thing I'll really briefly speak on here is with this cold air that's going to go over the Great Lakes, still relatively warm bodies of water compared to its surroundings. Well, it's then current surroundings. Current surroundings, obviously not. What I'm basically saying is when the cold air goes over the Great Lakes, it's going to be colder. The air will be colder than the actual surface of these Great Lakes. So what happens, that causes a rising of air, which causes convection, which causes lake effect moisture. So in this case, here comes the cold air going to roll over the Great Lakes, and then immediately the lake effect snow machine kicks off. Superior, Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, Erie, Ontario, potentially Ontario and Erie. I think it will. And here it is. I'll stop it right here. This is for Tuesday morning, October the 31st. If you got any activities going on for Halloween, whatever you may be doing, it's potentially going to be snowy and cold. Great Lakes machine really gets going. I think it'll be kind of a northwesterly flow. It all depends on kind of the orientation of how the cold air goes over the Great Lakes, but I think it'll be more so from the northwest to the southeast. But here it goes. Yeah, and it cranks up. If you look at the national blend of all models, quiet through the weekend, a little bit of a snow signal from that one system, and then here it comes. Lake effect snow begins to add up here. So we'll see how this evolves. This is between now and the next 10 days. But lake effect snows could be on the way for the Great Lakes. And we'll take a look at the Northeast too. There's a little bit of signal for you guys also. Last thing we'll mention, we don't have a lot of details on this. The European likes the idea once this as this kind of cold air mass is coming in, it's throwing a curveball and wants to develop some kind of low pressure very quickly from October 31st through November 1st. Okay, and all of a sudden throws a massive storm system with inland snow for the very first day of November, with a cold air mass to follow. Okay, so if something like this was to happen, of course, it would be way too warm for New York City, the I-95 corridor. But for inland people, it could be heavy, wet snow. So this is, one scenario based off the Euro. You could have some northwest flow that kicks up behind this, get some snow in West Virginia. Just one model run. Now, if you look at the GFS, what does the GFS show with this? Last time I looked, it really was not similar. GFS, nothing. So GFS for November 1st, showing nothing. The European for the same time frame showing a massive storm system right here. So they're totally different, guys. We'll figure that one out as we move through time. But that was a mouthful, guys. I hope you got a lot from it. God bless all y'all, and I'll talk to you in the morning.